Today, our group will discuss diversity hiring, its controversies, but more importantly, the benefits firms stand to gain by engaging in diverse hiring strategies. These benefits specifically take form in three things that we'll focus today. One, competitive advantages. Two, increased productivity engagement. And three, improved profitability. The following slides will provide evidence and discussions to not only support these assertions, but overwhelm objections stemming from both academia and business leaders. The most commonly held objections tend to be the following. One, quotas or number game. Not necessarily genuine or fair attempts at diversity, instead just a number game to give the illusion of diversity. The second one being an intent to undermine merit or minority populations. This is demonstrated through a preference to give diverse characteristics as opposed to skills, expertise, and individual value. And lastly, one of the more acclaimed ones is that diversity hiring results in reverse discrimination. The idea being that the pendulum swings and now majority groups experience discrimination as a result of giving preferential treatment to minority groups. While many believe that discrimination is an issue of the past, research continues to tell otherwise. A recent report by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show that there is still significant disparity between ethnic unemployment rates, a disparity that still holds true as of 2018. All these data points come together and set the stage for firms to seriously engage in conversations surrounding not only people strategies, but diversity strategies.
The axiom that diverse companies perform better used to just be anecdotal. That is, until a rush of research over the last 2 decades has come forth to support these claims. And it's not just research from academic institutions. McKinsey, Deloitte, and even the Wall Street Journal have all released studies over the last 5 years that tout the advantages of diversity and inclusion. While many of these studies overlap in their results, 3 of the most oft-cited competitive advantages manifest themselves in the areas of recruiting, business decisions, and customer alignment. Mary Barra of GM, who happens to be the top female CEO of the Fortune 500, perfectly summed up this sentiment with the following statement. A diverse workforce promotes fresh, innovative thinking that translates into a competitive advantage, which in turn translates into winning products for our customers. It's no secret that companies can often go to extreme measures to recruit top talent because better talent historically translates into better financial performance. By opening the playing field to include more diverse candidates, they avail themselves of a larger recruiting pool. One of the largest traps companies who suffer from homogeneity in their workforce is that innovation can become stagnant. These organizations are made up of essentially the same mindset, background, decision-making drivers, etc., often result in doing the same activities over and over and hoping to achieve the same results over and over. This segues perfectly into making better business decisions. According to one of McKinsey's studies, women are involved in 80% of consumer good purchases in the UK. When making those decisions, how much more difficult will it be for a male-centric company to understand and forecast the wants and needs of this demographic? The lack of diversity can often preclude these types of companies from understanding alternative solutions and strategy and from understanding an increasingly diverse potential consumer base. The world of business is evolving regularly, with disruptive forces emerging globally, meaning that customers are changing and the company's consumer base is changing with it. I'd like to use the millennial demographic as an example where companies are seeing a competitive advantage through diversity. As millennials begin to make up a greater percentage of the workforce, their values are also shaping how business is done. In order to meet these new challenges and shifting status quos, companies need to be able to think differently than they have in the past, because the same actions that resulted in padded profit margins in the past don't necessarily translate into today's market. A study by Deloitte showed that 1 in 4 millennials would improve their relationship with a business simply based on that business's diversity among its leadership or its diversity policies. Conversely, 1 in 6 would actually reduce their relationship with a business that lacks in those areas. And just as a company can enjoy increased competitive advantage through corporate social responsibility, studies show that inclusion policies can also add to the bottom line.
Workplace diversity continues to gain momentum as further evidence builds behind the benefits achieved. Furthermore, diversity has gained momentum as a topic in over 70% of surveyed enterprises. However, significant data still points to a large number of companies lacking diversity. Significant evidence for diversity points to stronger revenues and profit margins. One of McKinsey's studies showed that only 41% of companies in the bottom quartile for ethnic diversity were likely to have EBIT above national average. Conversely, companies in the top quartile were 50% more likely to end the year with EBIT above the median. The 2019 study by the Wall Street Journal showed that the 20 most diverse firms in the ranking have an average operating profit margin of 12%, compared with 8% for the lowest ranking companies. The correlation clearly indicates that the companies emphasizing diversity in their hiring perform better than the aggregate, while the worst ones lagged at less than 50% of the index. Additionally, there is strong evidence that diversity in leadership teams leads to increased performance and profitability. McKinsey and Company have reported that cultural and ethnic diversity in executive teams will result in companies being 33% more likely to see better than average profits and 43% more likely at the board of directors level. The evidence is clear. Leadership teams are greatly enhanced when diversity becomes a focus or priority. Workplace diversity can optimize human capital through better innovation, talent acquisition, and customer experiences. One key benefit of workplace diversity that leads to higher levels of profitability is increased innovation. In fact, companies with above average total diversity, measured as the average of 6 dimensions of diversity: migration, industry, career path, gender, education, and age, had both 19% higher innovation revenues and 9% higher EBIT margins on average. Companies with increased innovation can also have a trickle-down effect on other parts of their business. Innovative companies are more likely to have fresher product portfolios, which often lead to a better customer experience and stronger customer retention rates. Another key benefit of workplace diversity that leads to increased profitability is larger and more collaborative talent pools. Companies that display workplace diversity will appeal to a much broader range of job seekers, which will give companies a much better chance of acquiring and retaining the top talent in the industry. In addition, workplace diversity also has the ability to strengthen collaboration. Different backgrounds, cultures, and experiences allows for stronger brainstorming and higher levels of creativity. Altogether, this can help a firm differentiate itself from its competitors and become more profitable.
Research continually suggests that diversity can lead to greater productivity, engagement, creativity, and profits. But this is not an easy lever to pull. It is contingent on a lot of factors, one major one being ourselves. I have this exercise that I'd like you to do to gauge where you're at in your level of diversity and inclusion. So please think of 5 people outside of your family that you explicitly trust. And if you'd like to spend some more time to really think about this exercise and about yourself, feel free to pause the video here. After you've made this list, fill out this other information about each of those people that you put on your list. Are these people more similar to yourself, or is there a lot of diversity on your list of people that you trust? This is one of those things that most people are going to have a really low levels of diversity in this list. And it's not just diversity alone that brings these advantages. So much is reliant on the company culture and the manager to create a space of inclusion, enhancement, in communication, and psychological safety. We need to get past our own tendencies and our own biases and find ways that we can be creative. Here's a list of insights from successful companies that have been able to successfully benefit from group diversity.
So finally, with all these positives, there comes the opposite side of it, and those are negatives. When a company does not address diversity hiring and work towards diversity hiring, it can contribute to and exacerbate economic inequality by race and gender. We can see on the graph that Asian folks and white individuals had, for Asians, 50 to 60% higher wages, and for whites, 25 to 30% higher wages than blacks and Latinos. It's a company's privilege to help our fellow citizens to overcome intergenerational mobility problems associated with income inequality, and diversity in hiring helps us with that. Along with stagnant innovation, compromised decision-making, and an inability to connect with consumers, there are also decreased profit margins and stock returns. While you can still have a profitable company, clearly with the 4% higher profits in more diverse companies, it is a no-brainer for a CEO whose job it is to maximize profits to implement better diversity hiring. And how do you implement better diversity hiring? First, you must find diverse candidates. Then you need to show that the company is dedicated to being diverse. And finally, they must teach their recruiters how to avoid biases. Companies must be patient. It takes a long time to get buy-in from everyone from top to bottom. Companies will experience better competitive advantage, higher profit margins, better productivity, and higher engagement as they move toward a more diverse workplace. These companies can help change the world for the better by providing intergenerational mobility to economically challenged groups. And these companies have the opportunity and privilege to lift their communities out of financial hardship by providing jobs to the most financially vulnerable. Diversity in hiring is how companies today can push themselves and their profits into the future.